Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Crafty Crow Show. Today's video we're going to do another history video, and we're going to answer the question that's been plaguing all of us for years. The Baxter Coal Monument. What is this? What's it doing here in the middle of the road? We're going to address all of it, and after months of research we're going to tell you all the information we can find about it. So stick with us, come with us. Let's dig into this coal monument and see what it's all about. So here's your first views. It's an obelisk made of coal. You know, the base here is concrete, but the rest of that is made out of blocks of coal that's been fitted together and mortared together. Now this thing sits now off the side of the road, as you can see, but it had a greater meaning and purpose when it was built. So the two questions that I've heard the most concerning this thing, and the ones that I have myself, why is it here? And why did they build it in the first place? When was it built? Who built it? All those questions. So let's split this up into two parts. The first part, why is it here? Let's dive into that. I'll show you exactly why they put it right here and how, just looking at it today, it doesn't make sense, but if you go back in time, you'll know why. Let's tackle that first.
In 1911, the L&N Railroad had started building a rail line into the untapped Harlan coal fields. The nation was expanding rapidly at the turn of the century with industry, and that industry was fueled by coal. Harlan had rich, high-grade coal to offer, but no way to get it out and to market. As more mines of coal started to be produced, the need for workers and resources demanded a better infrastructure than what was available. Until the rail system was introduced, the only way into Harlan and surrounding communities were unimproved dirt paths and wagon roads. By 1920, it was finally decided that an improved paved road system needed to be built. One of the first major Eastern Kentucky road projects was US 23. This roadway today runs from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way north to Mackinac City in Michigan. A major town in Kentucky that this roadway passed through was Pikeville. Pikeville's home of the famous Hatfield-McCoy feud, as pretty much everybody knows that I know of. From Pikeville, the Mayo Trail, as it was considered, was extended all the way to Jenkins, which is here. Through much petition from local officials, representatives, and local groups such as the Kiwanis International, funding and approval was finally obtained to build a road from US 25E in Pineville through Harlan and up to Jenkins. And you can see here in this map, this is a 1930 map, as you can see here. This would have been before it was renumbered, but US 23 went from Jenkins down through Cumberland, here at Baxter, and then into Pineville. So this was the route of 23 in 1930. A year after it was completed, they decided to change the roadway name to 123 because they wanted to direct 23 here at Jenkins. You can see it says Pound Gap right there. They wanted to extend 23 into Virginia, on to Kingsport and Johnson City. Construction of US 123, as it became known, started in 1920, and over the next 8 years, major work was focused on the section of the roadway between Pineville and Harlan. On July 28th of 1928, the roadway had been completed and a celebration was planned. On this day, a large group of people met at Molis, then referred to as Molis Crusher. This is where the Harlan-Bell County line is, and was the last section to have concrete poured to connect the two towns. On site was Senator Hiram Brock to accept the roadway for Harlan, and Judge J.G. Rollins to accept for Bell County. Now, they accepted this from Major E.S. Helburn, which was the Middlesboro State Highway Commissioner. Following this ceremony, the motorcade would return to Harlan, where Mayor F.D. Perkins would introduce Kentucky Governor Flem Sampson. Now, interesting note to this, the motorcade that it talked about was led by J.H. Blair. Yes, J.H. Blair, the same sheriff made famous by the song Which Side Are You On, written by Florence Reese. Any of you not familiar with this song should definitely look it up and listen to it. Florence wrote this song telling of the struggles of the coal strikes in Harlan in the 1930s, and mentioned Sheriff Blair due to the fact he had sided with the coal companies in the strikes and was considered a corrupt official that helped the coal companies keep unions from forming. The new road from Pineville to Harlan, then called the Rhododendron Highway at the time, was a major accomplishment for Harlan County. Finally, there was a nice, smooth, and reliable roadway for people to travel to the outside world, and for people and goods to get into Harlan easily. Between the new rail access and new roadways, Harlan was finally open for business, and local officials were very excited to take advantage of these opportunities. In 1934, US 119 was extended from Morgantown, West Virginia into Kentucky, joining US 123 at Jenkins. The roadway was then renumbered from US 123 to US 119. This made the southern terminus of 119 start at Pineville and ran all the way to the northern terminus located at Du Bois, Pennsylvania. This roadway, especially for a time before interstates were even thought of, was now a major highway connecting this once remote area to the rest of the nation. Okay, just a zoomed in view of the Harlan area. We've got our 1954 map up here. You've got 119, you can see comes up. And here, and we've got a picture we can show you of the original way this looked. Here is where the cut on current day 840 comes down, but this was 119, went by 4 Mile School. You got Rest Haven Cemetery there. And through Rio Vista, through Lowell, one little red light in Lowell there, and then travels on into Baxter, and then crosses the river. And this is where we're at, this intersection right here. And this is the bridge that's behind us. Now, as you can see, this either cut right, went to town, cut left. This actually travels up toward Cumberland. And you've got the little bridge here, and this was considered 840. So they renumbered a bunch of these roads in the late 50s. I think it's when they built the new 119 and cut through the mountain to come down Secret Ridge. 119 is a pretty long road. Now, it's mostly 2-lane road. You know, this is before interstates and stuff. But it was very important and very specific that it come through Harlan. They worked hard to get it there. So you've got one road, one major road for the day coming through Harlan. Now, this bridge behind us, this bridge was considered the old 119 bridge is what they called it. And we'll give you a little introspect on that and give you some good views of this bridge. This bridge is a Baltimore through Truss Bridge. That's kind of a tongue tire, ain't it? Built in 1924 to 25 by the Vincennes Bridge Company out of Vincennes, Indiana. It served as the US 119 bridge, and then but it stayed in service until 1993 when they closed it. The total length is 306.1 feet. The deck width, is what you drive on, is 20 foot wide. And it's a gorgeous view here. You can see it's starting to turn into a trellis for the kudzu vine. There's also a little walking path on the side of it here. I can remember driving across this bridge when I was little. I really wish there was something they could do with this bridge. You know, I don't know that anything could be done. I seen a great idea on the Ignited Coyote channel. They were comparing this bridge to the footbridge that is in Corbin, right at the end of Engineer Street. And they have redone that bridge, which, you know, it's a much smaller bridge than this. And it's kind of a park. It's got benches and stuff out through here. So, you know, that much space, and you've got the coal monument there in the background at the end. You'd have to do some cleaning up and stuff, but it'd be awesome if there's something you could do with this. I mean, it's sitting here. I know it's probably not structurally sound for any vehicles, but as well as this thing was built, you could probably do some inspection on it, and it might be all right for foot traffic. Or I might not even supposed to be out here because the thing might fall on my head. I don't know. It was just a cool ideal. Don't know if there's anything to be done. So that takes care of one of the main roads. Now the second road here, because this was an intersection with two main roads, the second road started being discussed in the early 1930s. What that discussion was, they were calling it Route 33 and the Appalachian Way project. I didn't really know, and I couldn't find anything on Route 33, so I don't, you know, I've struggled finding it, but I think I figured out what Route 33 ended up becoming. I believe Route 33 was actually US 421. And the reason I believe that, the timing and everything, there's records of the Kiwanis meetings, which is what a lot of this come from actually. Records of the Kiwanis meetings that show they were trying for a few years to get that through here because they were wanting to promote tourism. You had auto traffic starting to go through here. They was wanting to promote the beautiful area, the beautiful nature, just like we do today. That's one of the things we do in Harlan. Since coal's decline,
we're trying to produce. We have an ATV park that's been in plenty of magazines. It's a great park, and trying to promote tourism. So they were doing that then in the 1930s after they got this road through. So they were trying to get what I believe is 421. If anybody knows different, let me know. 421 to come through Harlan and be another major road. Now, the reason this was a major road, Fort Fisher, North Carolina, is where 421 starts. That road goes all the way from North Carolina at the coast, all the way up to Michigan City, Indiana. And it originally went to Lake Michigan, pretty much. So you've got one road going from Pineville all the way up to Pennsylvania, but you've got one road going from North Carolina at the coast all the way to Michigan. 421 was a humongous road. And with a lot of petitioning to the state, doing everything they could, they got 421 through Harlan. Back then, these were very important roads. These were the most improved roads. There was no interstate system at the time. These were improved roads. They were paved. They were ways to get places. You know, just like Route 66 was the same way. It's almost dead now because of interstates, but that was the road to travel if you want to go out west. And it was awesome. You know, stuff popped up all along those roads. So you've got the intersection of 119 and 421 that merge right here at this coal monument. Starting to see where I'm going. Let me show you the route 421 goes. This is facing going back toward town in Harlan. Now, the actual where the flood wall is and everything we showed on the flood wall video, Harlan's probably a mile down this road to actually get to the town of Harlan. So this was kind of outside the city just a little bit. But 421 would have come from Pennington Gap all the way up through Kaywood.
You got Kaywood coming from there, and this come from Pennington Gap. 421 wound out past Linaroo, the Farmer's Mill, Gray's Knob, where Halls High School is. There you've got Memorial Hospital, which was Miners Memorial Hospital, which turned into where ARH Hospital is now. On up into Harlan. This section here, about this whole section here, is considered Main Street. Let me zoom back in. Bear with me. This thing's a little hard to work sometimes. Yep, you started up through Main Street. Went right down the middle of town, 421 did. Come around and joined right here. So again, this is where the coal monument is. This is where the bridge is. Both those would go around. They connected for just a little ways. They split, and 421 would have been on the other side of the river where current 413 is, and then shot across Pine Mountain on toward Bledsoe and Leslie County.
So if you was coming up 421 and wanted to go on to 119, you would have come, went around the other side of the monument, and then right onto the bridge. You know, if you come down 119 and wanted to go left toward Cumberland, you would come out, go around this side of the monument, and on out that way. You can't tell it now from the paved job, but the road went around both sides of the monument. It sat on a little island in between the roads there. That answers the question of why it was put here. Yes, it was in the middle of the road, especially not too long ago. They hadn't paved this behind us, so you still had to go around this monument. But I've seen a few places on what information I could find on the internet, people wondering why it was here. That's why it was here. It was the main intersection between US 119 and US 421 back in its time. So this was a very important intersection. Now, we'll move on to the why it was even built in the first place. When people would come down through Cumberland and stuff, they were getting feedback from the public. You know, they'd fill out little questionnaires or write to them saying how much they enjoyed the county and traveling through, blah, blah, blah. One of the main complaints they were getting is the people didn't know how to get to Harlan. They would get to this intersection, turn across the bridge, and go on toward Pineville. There was reports, one letter that it said in the newspaper, a woman passed up Harlan 6-7 miles before she realized she went too far. There was no signage or anything pointing on how to get to Harlan. So they had to do something. They were trying to figure out what to do. They decided to build markers. There was going to build 2 markers. One marker at the terminus of 119 in Pineville to point to Harlan. There is that I've found no evidence of what that marker looked like. There's no description of that marker or anything. It was announced by C.C. Bowling to erect a coal tower at this intersection. So that was the first real mention of what kind of marker they were going to make. So let me get some shots up here to see the monument while I explain this to you. Now, there were no descriptions in any of these papers on any of this, but by my measurements, the base is just a big concrete base, and you can see kind of on the sides they're reinforced with big 90-degree brackets and stuff, because it's set in the middle of a road. People was going to hit it. They had to strengthen this. So I'm assuming solid concrete. I don't see any grout lines or anything where there was block put up. So 6 foot wide at the base and tapers up. By my best calculations, this thing is 22 to 25 foot high. This might be an arguable point from this point on, because there is so much speculation on this monument, but no hard evidence. I have spent probably 30 hours at the local library going through microfiche film, 30 hours total over a few months to find out any information I can. It's been a task. I wanted this to be my first history video, but it's been so much research on it because there's nothing about it. Now, I think the reason there's nothing about it, the early and mid 1930s was where Harlan got its nickname. It's nicknamed Bloody Harlan, and that's where we got it. There were coal strikes. That was the first coal strikes. We had National Guard troops in here numerous times protecting elections, protecting coal mines, you name it. This was like a Wild West of the era. They were trying to get unions in here. The coal operators didn't want unions. That's why the J.H. Blair thing was so kind of funny that he led that procession. But major turmoil in the county at that time. There was also major turmoil in the world. The newspapers are littered with the rise of Germany, Italy, all these nations, because World War II was building at this point. So there was tons of stuff in that. So between the war talk and the escalation overseas, and of all of the talks of dynamiting, I mean, there was one attorney that got blown to bits when they put dynamite in his car and it started up and it blew up. It was bad. I'm telling you, it was bad in Harlan County at that time. And apparently our newspaper, the Harlan Daily Enterprise at the time, they didn't do local pictures. All the pictures from the Enterprise were like what would be Associated Press pictures now. There was no local pictures of anything taken, so there was no pictures of this thing getting dedicated or anything taken. It's been rough. So this is the facts that I can find, the most hard evidence I can find, and I'll try to show you the shots of the newspaper articles. But here's the info y'all been waiting for, the coal mine. We do know it's built from blocks of coal. That's obvious. You can walk up to it and see. Estimates of 55 coal companies in the county donated the coal. I looked up an article that showed there was 45 coal camps in the county. So it's either 45, 55, somewhere in between. But my theory is these coal companies donated this coal to the Kiwanis Project to kind of ease over some tensions, because they knew this was going to be a big monument because of all the turmoil going on in the 30s. So 45 or 55, however many, donated the coal for this. The construction of it, I couldn't find anything. I'll tell you what I found. I found a general date of when it was built. And I found a newspaper article that showed it hadn't been formally dedicated yet after this date. I went a year past that and never seen where they dedicated it. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on. I don't know why. But the Kiwanis built it as a monument to their club, too. They wanted, it was mentioned in the articles that they wanted to show their achievements and show how much good they had done for the community, and just wanted it to kind of be their legacy. But that I found they never dedicated it, or at least it never made it to the papers. And because there was never nothing in the papers, it's hard for us to find anything out on this. So you had the Triple C's, the Civilian Conservation Corps that was in here at the time. That was a big thing in the papers. They could have helped construct it. I think it's Works Progress Administration, WPA, might have gave some funds or something or provided the labor. I didn't find anywhere where the labor was, where they built it. So I don't know who built it. I know the Kiwanis put together a committee. They spoke about getting it built. They got it built as a road marker for people to be able to find Harlan. So it was kind of disappointing. I thought it was something bigger, but it's basically a road marker. That's all it was here for, to direct traffic to Harlan instead of going on down 119 and missing our town altogether. I know. I don't know if it's a letdown or not. I was kind of let down, but at the same time, happy to find it. So 2 articles from the Kiwanis meeting for the date. Now, I don't have an exact date, but this is closer than anybody I've found, and I am totally satisfied this is when this was built. Minutes from the Kiwanis meeting on September 27th of 1934 was discussing the completion of this, which means the construction of it, I should say. So on September 27th of 1934, they were still building this, but it was under construction. On October 14th of 1934, minutes from the meeting are saying that it was built. So between September 27th and October 14th, 1934, is when we got our coal monument. Anybody can argue with me if they want to, but I'm telling you, it was during that span of time this thing was built. One of the funniest articles I've seen in the paper after this was built, though, was on November 21st, 1934. On that day, there was somebody actually, it was kind of like an editorial on the paper, was wanting lighting for this. Said that the new monument and stuff was kind of a road hazard because it was in the middle of the road. There were no lights or really any stores or anything around here. It was just a big black thing in the middle of the road, and they were worried about people hitting it. Now, as you can see, or probably seen up at the top, there's some kind of pole sticking out. I don't know if maybe at one point in time that would have been a light or not. I don't know. I don't see any kind of electrical hookups or anything on it. So who knows if that's what that was for or not. Or it could have just been a lightning rod. That's what I've always thought. But I did see that article. I thought that was something funny to include in this. So after months of research, guys, that's all we've got on it. But that gives us a time frame, how it's constructed, kind of maybe who constructed it, but why it was here. I know it might not be a lot of information. I still feel like there's something missing, but that's the most I can find. I mean, that's absolutely the most I can find. With the lack of information in the papers and stuff, that's all I know to go by. And the people that would have built it, they're all probably gone now. So, but that brings us a lot closer than what we was before the video, right? So anyway, like I said with the bridge, it'd be awesome if there could be some kind of park here. But I know the last thing anything was done to this monument, I think, was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They come put a sealer on the coal, because coal deteriorates over time, especially weather's down and stuff. They put a sealer on it, done some work to it, and that's all that's been done. I hope that this video will shed some more light on it, will bring awareness to it, and that we can do something with this. It at least needs a plaque or something. There's been plenty of people thought there was a plaque on this thing, and there might have been at some point in time, but it's gone. And I have no idea where it's at. So any more information you all leave down here in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. Like I said, this is stuff that I've researched, so I know this is as close to the hard facts as I can find for you. But if any of you know anybody and need me to help you get on board with it, let's get some awareness for this thing done. Let's see if we can get our city and county officials to do something to see if they can look at some resources to maybe figure out more on it or put a plaque on it, something. This needs to be preserved. This is part of Harlan County history. Even though it was just a road marker, who else has got a coal road marker that looks like this anywhere in the nation? None that I know of or have ever seen. So this thing's unique, and it deserves to be remembered and to be preserved. So asking for help from you all. I'll help you all any way I can, even if it's to get a group together, come down here and get this thing straightened up. but there's got to be something we can do, right? So I thank you all for stopping by today and hear what I had to say and finding out some information with me on this old coal monument. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some information from it, and I hope you come along again the next time. But until next time, love one another as the good Lord tells you. We'll see you guys on the next video.